You all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Present.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Here. Mr. Williams?
Here. Jamie, would you like to read the legal notice?
Yes, do we have a preference for which one goes first?
Doesn't matter.
Town of Patterson notice of hearing, contract for fire protection, Putnam Lake Fire Department. Public notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Patterson, New York will hold a public hearing in consideration of contracting with the Putnam Lake Fire Department to provide fire protection, rescue, and first aid services, collectively referred to herein as fire protection services, in all or a portion of the Patterson Fire Protection District, as shown on the fire map filed in the office of the Putnam County Clerk as filed map number 793. Said public hearing will be held at the Patterson Town Hall, 1142 Route 311, Patterson, New York, on December 8th, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. in the evening of that day, or as soon thereafter as may be held, at which time all persons interested therein shall be heard. For such services, the Putnam Lake Fire Department shall receive the yearly sum of $462,500. The contract shall run for 1 year from January 1, 2022 and shall expire on December 31, 2022. A copy of the proposed contract may be obtained from the town clerk.
Thank you. I would ask that anybody that is here in the room who has any comments, if you would approach the mic and give your name and address for the record. Hearing no one, I will turn to our Zoom audience. If there's anybody joining us by Zoom who has any comments or questions on the Putnam Lake Fire Department contract, if you would unmute, provide your name and address. As no one has any comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jamie, would you like to read the second notice?
Yes, Town of Patterson notice of hearing, 2022 contract for fire protection, Patterson Fire Department number 1. Public notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Patterson, New York will hold a public hearing in consideration of contracting with the Patterson Fire Department number 1 to provide fire protection, rescue, and first aid services, collectively referred to herein as fire protection services, in all or a portion of the Patterson Fire Protection District, as shown on the fire map filed in the office of the Putnam County Clerk as filed map number 793. Said public hearing will be held at the Patterson Town Hall, 1142 Route 311, Patterson, New York, on December 8th, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. in the evening of that day, or as soon thereafter as may be held, at which time all persons interested therein shall be heard. For such services, the Patterson Fire Department number 1 shall receive the yearly sum of $865,163. The contract shall run for 1 year from January 1, 2022, and shall expire on December 31, 2022. A copy of the proposed contract may be obtained from the town clerk.
Again, I would ask that anybody who is here in the room with us tonight, if you have any comments or questions on the Patterson Fire Department contract, you would approach the mic and give your name and address for the record. Seeing nobody approach the mic, we will turn it to our Zoom audience. If there is anybody joining us by Zoom who has any comments or questions, if you would unmute, give your name and address for the record. All right, hearing no one, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Can I get a-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the reports?
I'll make a motion to accept and approve the following reports: code compliance for November, code enforcement for November, dog control officer for November, ECI for September through November, and the EMS October and November, and the Patterson Recreation for October. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Get a motion on the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the town board meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2021, November 17th, 2021, and the bid opening for the transfer station minutes for November 10th, 2021. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're down to the abstracts.
I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 22 dated November 19, 2021, in the amount of $178,464.73. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make another motion to approve abstract number 23A dated December 6, 2021, in the amount of $9,070.80. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody like to do some budget transfers?
Sure. We have three tonight. First one is requesting to allocate funds from the 2021 medical buyout costs to the Recreation and Assessors Department accounts. Moving money, $1,500 from the Recreation Center Personal Services and moving $563 from the Personal Services expense account to the Assessor's Medical Buyout, which is $563, and the Recreation Center Medical Buyout expense accounts, $1,500. I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request number 33. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have budget transfer number 34. Requesting to allocate additional funds for the state retirement costs to the Highway Department and Refuse District number 2 accounts. And this is moving money from the hospital and medical insurance employee benefits, $16,746, and hospital and medical insurance employee benefits expense accounts, $563, to the state retirement employee benefits, $16,746, and state retirement employee benefits expense accounts, $563. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request number 34. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Next, we have requesting to allocate additional funds for the Recreation Center contractual costs for necessary building repairs. And this is moving money from Recreation Center Personnel Services, $7,500, and Recreation Center Building Utilities expense accounts, $5,000, to Recreation Center Building contractual expense account, $12,500. I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request number 35. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll keep going.
Okey dokey. We have a note from the supervisor stating that it's the request, or not the request, but well, yeah, paving of driveway bond issues, that the last time that the paving of driveway was set at $10.25 per square yard, and that was in March of 1999. And the supervisor and the town board engineer are recommending to increase the cost of driveway bond to $17 per square yard as recommended by, well, okay, by the town engineer. So I will make a motion that the town board approve the increasing the cost of driveway bonds to $17 per square yard. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a request from our EMS department for shirts. And the first one is polo shirts. And Bobby Kearns, who was our administrator, went out to solicit 5 companies. 3 we had no responses to. Two, we had two responses, the low bidder being Rescue Stuff Inc. In an amount not to exceed $1,700. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve the payment to Rescue Stuff for polo shirts not to exceed $1,700. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, similar type request, only this is for sweatshirts, navy blue. And again, we had 3 no replies. And this time, the low bidder was New England Uniform Company. So make a motion that the town board approve the purchase of sweatshirts from New England Uniform Company and amount not to exceed $2,200. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All set?
Yep.
Next item we have is a request that comes from our building department, and that request is to consider approving additional hours for one of the part-time clerks within that office. Based on a review by the town supervisor, we find that even though the request was for up to 100 hours between now and the end of the year, based on civil service law and the limits within that position, the most that we could potentially allow would be 27 hours between now and the end of the year. This is a position that is also shared with our tax office. And I understand, and I hope this is correct. If not, please speak up, that those hours would not be needed between now and the end of the year for that individual. Okay, thank you. So if the board is amenable, we could approve up to 27 additional hours between now and the end of this year for this part-time help within the building department. So I will make a motion that we approve that request for up to 27 additional hours. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Rich says that we need to do a budget transfer. Will that be done as
Next
part of our next meeting? Okay, that'll be plenty of time. Okay, thank you. Second item is a request for our I can't remember her last name. I'm sorry, Shannon Jenkins. Thank you. Who is from our planning department, and she would like to go to the Rutgers Wetland Delineation Certificate Series course. This is the introductory course. Follows on with additional trainings that will come up in the future, but this will be the starter course and it's a prerequisite. Ms. Jenkins is requesting the approval of the registration fee, which is $395. That's if it's done before the end of the year. The cost goes up in the new year. So completely supportive of her doing this class. I think it'd be a great training primer for future trainings for Ms. Jenkins. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve the registration fee of $395 for that course. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just as a follow-up to that, this is the first course of a few courses she's going to need to take to become certified to do wetland delineation. All total, the package is going to be around $2,200. But I'm looking to get out of being deputy ECI, or our current ECI, who has been with us since 1990. Is retired from his other job. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be available. So it's a little bit proactive to replacing the two of us. So. All right. We are having a Christmas party for our employees and guests this Friday from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. We're doing it at the rec center this year. This was the only day that we actually could get scheduled. I'd like to make a motion to approve a budget for the Christmas party, $1,200. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we are actually starting to look at purchasing a new ambulance, and our EMS administrator brought the HGAC cooperative purchasing to my attention. It is a service, it is a state-sponsored service down in Texas that many different organizations, especially first responders use to make their purchases. They do all the bidding for everybody. And we're hoping to purchase an ambulance. I've looked at the pricing and their pricing is really outstanding. So it's a HGAC cooperative under New York State law. We can make purchases through a cooperative as long as they are awarding the contracts appropriately. I know Jamie has looked at this and has some suggestions for tweaking the contract. And I will be putting you in touch with them tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Does anybody have any questions about doing this? This is not our first cooperative that we're joining. We've used a couple of others very successfully, especially the highway department, a couple of purchases. All right, so I'd like to make a motion that the town board approve the town supervisor to enter into a contract with HGAC Cooperative Purchasing to become a cooperative member in order to make purchases through their programs. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Just want to add that it's important for us to get moving on purchasing a new ambulance or getting ready for it, because there's, as we know, there's shortages with inventory with vehicles and trucks and stuff all around the country. So I know a lot of ambulance companies and corps are having difficulty getting vehicles and parts, or it's taking a long time. So
Okay, so we have a couple of issues over at the wastewater treatment plant with heat. Not a good time of the year to have some issues with the heat. One is up in the first main building. The heating unit that is up there, which is a very fancy special unit because it's in a building that gets a lot of methane gas into it, so it has to be explosion proof. Is no longer functioning. We need to replace that. We received a quote from Adams Plumbing and Heating, who has been our plumbing contractor now for a couple of years. And I'd like to make a motion to approve Adams Plumbing and Heating to replace the wall hung molding unit at the wastewater plant headworks building for an amount not to, for an amount of $6,642.80. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second one is we have dual boilers down at the main wastewater treatment building. They were originally put in as lock and floor boilers. It's not a common boiler in this area. And every year at the beginning of the season, it's the same thing. We go in there, try to get them started up for the season, and they do not start. And so in the past, we've actually replaced one of them out. We're having the same problem again this year with the second boiler. We have a quote here from Adams Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $7,825 to replace that second locket bar boiler with a Wheel McLean Ultra 155 boiler. And I'd like to make a motion to approve Adams Plumbing and Heating to replace the boiler number 2 at the wastewater treatment plant for an amount not to exceed $7,825. So
Second.
I do have one more that I will
Wanna
talk to
take a
you
vote?
about under. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it, Charles? Just try to move it along. One more thing that I need to talk to everybody about, and I do need to add one executive session to the agenda for a personnel issue that has come up. I will do that under other business.
Okay.
It's more appropriately done. Mary,
Okay. This is
what?
There was a third Adams.
Yes, there was.
That's all the.
That's for
business.
town
Oh,
hall.
got you. Okay,
So got
Um,
that later and I
moving
figured I'd
on.
do it to other business.
Sure. First item on my agenda, Putnam County Outreach Worker Contract. A few weeks ago, we tabled this for seeking a revision from the county to hold the town of Patterson and its officers, employees, and agents free and harmless from and against any and all losses with the Putnam County Office for Senior Resources contract. The contract's been revised to the language that we agreed upon, so I'd like to make a motion to enter into the record as though read, the resolution authorizing the supervisor to renew the agreement with the Putnam County Office for Senior Resources at a fee of $2,500. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second resolution on my agenda is Chestnut Petroleum Development Agreement. The resolution is for the sewer district to include the Patterson Sewer District to include the property improved by the gas station and convenience store and permit the Patterson Food Mart LLC to connect to the system upon the terms and conditions set forth in this resolution. So I'd like to make a motion to approve and enter the record as though read, the resolution for the extension of the Patterson Hamlet Sanitary Sewer District for the Patterson Food Mart. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Peter?
Okay, on my agenda, I have several traffic safety issues. I just want to start with the Route 22 speed reduction request. So back in, I think it was a couple of years ago, I think it was almost 2018. So let me just backtrack. So we identified a traffic safety issue on Route 22 in the area of Thunder Ridge. Over living here for many years, recalling a lot of serious accidents in that location, that little stretch between Thunder Ridge and Birch Hill Road, or even, down towards Jehovah's Witnesses there. Something I just wanted to look at. I just thought, we had a lot of crashes there, just recalling a lot of crashes without looking at data. So I brought it up at a traffic safety board meeting back in, I think, 2018. The representative from the New York State DOT on the traffic safety board said, hey, let's set up a meeting. So we set up myself, supervisor, and a couple of the DOT representatives sat down, and we told them our concerns and some of our requests for solutions. So it was kind of two parts. So one part was where we have Birch Hill and Thunder Ridge that come out. They're pretty tight angles to turn or to come out. So we were looking at maybe just bringing it down to one intersection, like a 90-degree intersection, which would be a big project, but there's a lot of things. So that was one thing we asked them to look at. And then we did get a ruling on that earlier though, right? Earlier email?
We got a ruling on both of these earlier, and then we objected to their rule.
Okay. So the other objection was, what we requested was, so if you look at Route 22, it goes from 55 miles an hour going north from, starting at like Watchtower going north, and it turns to 45 right before Birch Hill. It's the north road.
Birch Hill Road.
Yeah. So right before Birch Hill, it goes down to 45 going into the intersection of 311 and 22. Also, there is a dotted yellow line, so cars can pass at that location starting before Thunder Ridge Road. So cars are turning out of Thunder Ridge Road, and cars are also passing other cars on 22. So we had requested that the speed limit drop a lot earlier down by Watchtower, and also put double yellow line so there's no passing. So that was denied. So we asked for it again, and it was denied again. So I wanted to start with that one. With some things they did do, though, they did replace all the stop signs in that area, turn restrictions, intersection warning signs, and stuff. So they did replace signs and refresh things in that area. So to help a little bit. I just wanted to kind of start with that because there's a lot of times that we feel that an area is dangerous or a traffic hazard. And, we feel that there's been crashes at the location, but when they look at their data, they look at the data and they have different formulas and different ways to measure if it's a worthwhile project. They have a ton of projects and it's a lot of money. They have a very limited amount of money. So they have to look at it and see if it's worth them doing it. So I guess there weren't enough people killed at that location, or
But that was the original response, is the accident data did prove out that they needed any changes.
Yeah.
And, you know, how many people need to get hurt? We've had two very serious accidents in that area, you know, the past few years.
And then, you know, another thing is they look at that those accidents, I think one might have been caused, one was caused by unsafe lane change. So someone was illegally making a lane change and that caused the accident. So they figured, you know, that doesn't really count because he was doing an illegal maneuver and stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to start with that one, because we have two other requests that we want to reach out to the DOT with. So anybody have any comments on that or questions? So the second one is another speed reduction request. So we have a new resident, Mr. Ortiz, who lives on Route 292. And he wrote a letter, he wrote an email to the sheriff, Robert Langley, and the sheriff forwarded his response, CC'd me on the responses. I'm on the traffic safety board. So Mr. Ortiz feels that 40 miles an hour is pretty fast to be traveling on 292 with the windy turns. So the sheriff, and this was brought up at the last traffic safety board meeting, the sheriff's reply was that he was going to have his chief of staff forward the email to the patrol division, so the patrol division would do some traffic enforcement on that. And he says, I'm aware that the speed limit on Route 292 is 40 miles per hour, and given the characteristics of the roadway, is in my opinion that the speed limit should be 30 miles per hour. So the sheriff agrees that it should be 30 miles per hour because of the characteristics of the roadway, the windy roads. And he also goes on to explain to Mr. Ortiz that there's a process where the town board would have to pass a resolution to the state DOT requesting the speed limit reduction. And then the New York State DOT would look at it and decide if they would do it or not. So, so I'd like to ask the board if maybe next meeting we can.
Look, I have no problem preparing a resolution for the board. You know, I'm sure we'd all support it. We recognize, especially, you know, in that one area where we have a very acute turn on 292, that speed needs to be reduced in that area. You know, but I do want to say that, you know, it's a state road, and I don't believe that, you know, the town board necessarily has to be the entity. And I'm sure if the sheriff thinks it should be 30 miles an hour, he certainly could take it into the state, the county legislature, and had them do a resolution to the state as well.
Yeah, so the representative from the state DOT said that the town would have to do a resolution to them. But
Be happy.
either or, I just also too, you know, again, it's you know, we all feel it's probably dangerous, or most of us feel it's probably dangerous. But, you know, I just want to make people aware that the state does look at it. They're going to look at the statistics, see how many crashes, what was the cause of the crashes, and make a determination upon that. So I think it's just important to let people understand the process and understand why things don't happen sometimes when you think it's dangerous. We went through this with the other railroad bridges on 164, the one way, you know, the state looked at that. We asked them to take a look at it. I actually went out there with the state and the county, and there's just no data to back up. Yeah, there's a lot of almost crashes, but there's no data of actual crashes or serious enough crashes to warrant to do anything there. So,
Which, are we on to the last one?
yes.
Okay.
So the last one is the railroad bridge on Route 311. So it just seems, I don't know if with social media, it's just more, it makes you more aware. We all know that it's been a problem with large trucks hitting the bridge, large trucks missing I think there's at least 6 signs coming off of 84 to the bridge, height limit signs. And but so I asked the sheriff to run me some data. Actually, I brought this up at the traffic safety board meeting, and the DOT said, well, if we write them a letter, they just need a letter that they would look at it and see if there's any other solution, if there's any solutions that they can look into besides the multiple signage. There's actually a large sign when right past the park and ride, but So they would like to look at it and see if there's anything they can do. But I asked for the data on the crashes from the sheriff's office. So this is going back 3 years. It's almost 2 pages of data on vehicles that crashed into the bridge or crashes at the bridge. So,
Or, yeah, in close proximity. This is one of the problems we have though, is, the data doesn't necessarily support, doing anything out there. What the data doesn't show is that we're getting 1 to 2 trucks every week that are pulling right up to the bridge, stopping, realizing they can't get under because they don't bother to read the signs coming off of 84, and then have to back up in insane places. And that's what the data doesn't show.
yeah, this is only the actual crashes. This is from the MV-104 reports. So like you said, it's all the vehicles the trucks that, I can't tell you how many mornings that you're going down, all of a sudden it's traffic stopped and it's a truck that's trying to turn around because they get to the bridge and, they weren't stupid enough to continue on and hope for the best. But anyway, it'd be nice. So I'd like to ask the supervisor if he could write the DOT a letter requesting them to look at it. There were some ideas that were tossed around with the DOT. There was, some people asked, well, like, what about like, sometimes they have those signs that have the height limit, but they're on chains. So if you hit it, but the DOT says that is a liability because that sign can actually do damage to a vehicle. And then, they can get sued.
There are a number of different devices that you could put up there. You could put a very high bar up with chains hanging down. So when the truck's coming down the road, it actually hits the chains. It hears the chains.
Right, but they said the chains, that was brought up too. They said the chains could cause damage to the vehicle and like they could sue. But there are things that aren't physical that are, laser beams that maybe that detect the height of a car and then flash
Maybe.
a sign or something like that. But
Pete, would that be the traffic safety board to evaluate everything you guys just said and therefore, come up with the recommendation? So if the supervisor is going to send a letter, you can get a little specific on what should be done.
Right.
Or
So,
hopefully-
I did bring it up at the traffic safety board and there were several ideas kicked around, like I said, and the DOT said why we couldn't do them. So the DOT pretty much says, well, send us a letter and so we can look at it and then give suggestions. The traffic safety board, really, we're not all professional traffic engineers, so we would we can come up with some ideas that we think could help, but it's really the state to look at it because maybe it's more signage, maybe it's a device that detects the height or whatever. So, they would look at it and come up with something.
I'm trying to think now, are there any signs going in the opposite direction, like
Yeah.
coming from downtown Patterson towards the bridge?
Right after 292, if you're going towards Carmel on 311, right when you go through the intersection of 292, there's a height sign. And then I think there's 6 signs. There's 5 or 6 signs from 292 to the actual bridge.
Really?
Yeah, and there's one right before the bridge too. so.
I'll look.
Yeah, I never noticed them either. I noticed the other ones the other way, because when you get off as you're getting off the exit ramps, they're on the exit ramps. And then when you turn onto 311 going into town, there's a large sign, and then there's multiple signs that way as well.
Yeah.
There is one thing though that is a little tricky, because when you get to the split of 164, it has a sign, a height limit sign for that way. So people might think that when you're getting off, it is a different height limit though. It's actually lower, I think, or higher. It's higher. It's a different height limit than the actual other height limits. But it could be confusing. People could think that the height limit signs were for 164, and they might think they can continue down 311. The biggest thing is that, there's commercial GPS units, GPS, and there's the GPS that we use and we have on our phones. The GPS ones are very expensive. They're anyway, I don't know, $600 to $1,000. I don't know how much they are. So the truckers don't buy the commercial and they're using their phone or the cheaper GPS, and the GPS is taking them down 311. and not telling them that there's restrictions. So I think that's one of the biggest issues.
All right, I'll be happy to draft a letter, but I want to make sure it gets to the right people. I certainly have my contacts at the DOT I can send it to, but if there's anybody specifically that you want the letter to go to or to get a copy of the letter, you could provide that, name and address. And then, to the whole board, if you have any suggestions about dealing with these things, any recommendations that I can throw into the letter.
Yeah, let's have them grind the road down, so we'll create some more headroom.
Yeah, that doesn't work either.
It's like the idea of letting the air out of the tires, right, to get the truck unstuck.
Yeah.
Also, real quick too, so the other issue is if you're coming from town, you have, you see the walkway bridge, which is a lot higher than the actual railroad bridge. So when you're coming from the other way, the railroad bridge is lower. So people might think they can make it under the walkway bridge and then they get to the railroad bridge.
It's always coming the other way, though.
Yeah.
The truck is always coming the other way, coming off of 84. And they're the
Trying to
ones
get
that
to
hit.
22. I just have one more thing. I'd like to announce, like to congratulate rather this kills me because I went to Mayapack, but congratulations to the Carmel High School varsity football team for winning the state championship last Saturday up in Syracuse. They're the Section 3 AA state champions now. So I think that was either the first high school or maybe in a long time or the first ever, I don't know, ever. First ever Putnam County High School to make it to the state championship. So congratulations. They're having a parade in their honor this Saturday at 11 o'clock, starting at the diner, the library, the Reed Library, and they're marching up Glenada Avenue to the Putnam County Courthouse. So if anyone wants to get out and support them, congratulations.
I have that here as well to offer our congratulations.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It's fine. It's, we're all here together. It was quite impressive. They went 13-0 for the season.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the Carmel football team.
Very good.
Okay. Anyone else? Other business? All right. I have one thing going back to the other items. So we've been talking about this, or I've been talking about this with our plumber, Dave Adams, for quite some time. As Dennis, currently we're running straight water through the system. That tends to wear out parts, especially in a commercial system. He has long recommended that we flush the system and refill it with antifreeze. I have a quote here from Dave Adams to do that work, and it would be timely because, as Sean heard today, we blew a circulator pump downstairs. That's what that was. Yeah. So he's going to have to replace that circulator pump. So it's a good time to be doing this. The cost is $2,299 for flushing the entire system and replacing it with antifreeze. And I'd like to make a motion to approve Adams Plumbing and Heating to do that work. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
That is it, I believe, from me.
What about the fire department contracts?
What about the fire department contracts? You got them on the agenda? Me neither.
We got them in the packet.
I understand that, but we're gonna wait till the next meeting
Okay.
in case we get any written comments in on it.
Check it.
It's already on the next agenda. Anybody else? Okay, we'll open it up to public recognition. Is there anybody here from the audience that would like to address the board on any issue? If you'd like to, approach the mic and give your name and address for the record. George, how are you?
George Disco, Kevin Road, and I have a comment I'd like to make as a resident, and then I have a couple of comments as a library trustee. As a resident, I just wanted to, it was a very pleasant experience. I had to dispose of a rather large, the capital L air conditioner. I got in touch with Russell's Highway Department. Margot was very helpful, talked me through what I needed to do. I went over to Miss Fitzpatrick to the town clerk, got my permit, called Margot. She said, bring it out to the road. I had one guy, no. Brought it out to the road, and the next day it was gone. And it was just a very pleasant, both departments worked very well together. So as a resident, I thank. And just want to give them some public recognition. Two things from the library. You might recall, a couple of months ago, we were talking about the EMS providing some type of training, staff training for the library, AED, CPR. And we did reach out to them. Unfortunately, I believe they didn't have anybody who was a certified instructor who could handle that. So I reached out to Councilman D'Andriano, and he said, he actually said, he got in touch with our director, Stephanie Patterson, and they worked out a time. Excuse me. They're going to work out a time this meeting with both of them. So I'd like to thank you very much for taking on that responsibility. Our staff needs to do that every year for the CPR, the AED. And so I thank you, and it's nice that we have a good working relationship.
I just want to make sure when I go to check out a book, if something happens to me.
You don't want
And
to.
if you take time, I'll pay for it. By the way, I'll remember.
Right.
In terms of the library, we've got a lot of things going on. I'll try to make it brief. We have some collection boxes. We always have a food pantry collection box in the vestibule. We also have a toys tots collection box there. If the community would like to donate, we have a number of charitable organizations that we give these things to, especially at this time of year. I would encourage all of our residents to look at the website, because I can't do everything in terms of explaining what everything is going on. The website is pattersonlibrary.org, and it's just a number of great programs. There's adult programs, teens programs, children's programs. I just wanted to highlight one of the teen programs. We have a teen leadership council, and it's a group from grades 7 through 12, and they put together programs for other teens. They also mentor the younger kids, help them with homework assignments, talk to them, set up programs for them, and it's really nice. We've got a real nice group of young people in Patterson who are part of that. I just wanted to highlight that.
That's great.
Coming in January, we have some poetry reading for one of our local authors. We have some movies being shown in the book clubs and everything else. So please look at the website and we thank you for supporting.
Thank you, George.
Thanks,
Thank
Sean.
you, George. Anyone else?
My name is Christopher Joseph. I live on 311, 89, 311. Didn't want to bring anything up, but when you brought up the 311 railroad bridge situation, it actually reminded me, because I've actually been caught behind those truck accidents, trying to get home. One of the biggest issues, I know you guys are resolving in the urine, what you have to do to, whatever you have to do with dealing with the state, but one of the issues I've been running into is that when I get stuck behind them, and people are guiding traffic, whatnot, they don't. I try to ask for guidance on how to get around the back roads and whatnot, and every time that they don't get clear guidance. I'm learning the back roads really quickly now, but because I've been spoiled with using 311 all the time because I live there. But yeah, they don't. Whoever is manning the roads during those times don't seem to be good with giving any directions to people who don't know the roads that well. Is there anyone that we can adjust that just so that way?
Is that the fire department you're talking about, or?
I honestly couldn't tell you who's there. They don't give me a name. They don't give you any information really. They just kind of point you in a random direction and say, go down this road.
They're wearing a safety vest, or are they?
They do wear a safety vest.
Is it possible it's like fire police?
Probably like fire police, yeah. Yeah, so that would be something to address with the fire police, the fire departments. So that they have actually, each fire department has like a fire police unit. They're firefighters that pretty much direct traffic during incidents. And then they're part of like a countywide team as well. So that'd be something, I guess, we probably,
Well, I could send them an email,
Yeah.
but I'm not so sure it's the fire police because they're pretty savvy about the
Yeah.
roads in the town. They have to train on the roads in the town. I'm thinking it's more along, because I've seen this on several occasions. It's usually the truck driver has a helper in the truck that throws a safety vest out and back them up.
Mm.
All right.
But I'll be happy to send the fire police an email, Putnam Lake and Patterson both, and just say, listen, this concern was brought up.
I mean, it's always dealing with me anymore because I'm actually, as I said, I'm learning the back roads now, but the average person who's going down that road, like you said, following GPS to go anywhere, it's gonna
Yeah.
come right down 311, they're not gonna know. They're not gonna just be like, yeah, go down this direction a mile. So,
Well, I would think the GPS would readjust you when you made the turnaround and you started to follow a different route. They tell you.
sort of, it just kind of, at least the one on my phone, it just keeps trying to reel me back down to 311. which is
Yeah.
fine. And it'll keep doing that because it's almost convenient for it.
I actually used to teach a course on directing traffic for incidents. And one of the big things I would start out with was put yourself in the person that's in the car's position, because, or first of all, put yourself in that person's position directing traffic. How many times do you think people asked him, what's going on and how do you get, and it all depends on the person that's there, they can get
Right.
frustrated.
Yeah,
They might have been there all day and it's hot or cold or they're
and while they're
thirsty or
given
hungry.
directions, someone sneaks around and goes.
Yeah, and everyone has to get through, and it's, so, I always teach them, look at both sides, because what about the person coming home and they don't know any other way,
Mm.
and they just want to get home. Their house is right there, how frustrating they could be. So, not that that's an excuse or anything, but that's the first thing I teach them is to understand each other, But so my point is, you never know what the deal is with that person or who they are. They probably probably not even trained. And it's probably the helper for the truck. They don't even know where they are, and now they're in trouble because they're part of the truck company,
Yeah.
But there are things, I don't know about for this situation, but the Traffic Safety Board years ago put up, if you look at the Taconic State Parkway, and if you get off anywhere in Putnam County, you'll see detour signs, permanent detour signs, and they might say detour A, detour B. And so there were so many crashes on the Taconic for years, and they would direct people off, and sometimes they don't have time to sit there and tell people how to go. They might just say, follow detour B, and there's permanent detour signs to get you back onto the parkway. But I don't know if that'd be worth, I'd rather have a solution.
Yeah, let's
Go that way.
Let's not put it more.
Yeah, I think we have someone, if you look down at the signs, it's probably, I think there's like 30 signs from 84 to 292. Just, speed limit, height limit, the chevrons, everything.
Okay, anybody else? All right, hearing nobody, we'll open it up to those joining us by Zoom tonight. If anybody is joining us by Zoom, has any questions, if you would unmute and give your name and address for the record. Quiet night on Zoom. All right, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.